Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Do you remember when former President of the United States, Donald Trump, was accused of being racist because he was building a wall in the southern part of the United States? And we had a big chunk of the society, people and politicians, calling that wall racist. Remember that one? I do remember that. Well, let's see. But in the meantime, all those politicians lived in gated communities and they lock their doors and they have armed guards. But nevertheless, let's go away. So, was that really racist or it wasn't? Well, let me see. If that was, because they wouldn't say things that they don't believe in, then they should call any kind of wall built by a country to keep migrants out racist. No? Don't you think you should apply the same rules regardless of the names of the people involved? So let's say if Israel builds the walls against, Palestinians and Arabs to keep them out, is that racist? No? Okay. Let's say Poland builds a wall to keep migrants out. Is that wall or fence racist? Yes or no? Well, it depends if they're our allies, I guess. In this case, they are our allies. Therefore, the border is perfectly fine. Once Poland shows signs of lack of support of our policies and will stop being raped like a whore by us, then that wall will become racist overnight. All right, what am I talking about? This article comes from Associated Press from June 30th, and this is the title. Poland completes Belarus border wall to keep migrants out. Oh my God. So what do we do? I mean, if you are a consistent person and you have values, you would say, well, that's a racist wall. Why? Because I called our wall racist, keeping the migrants out, right? But since we don't have principles or we have occasional or situational outrage and morality and all that, then of course this is not, because they let Americans have troops over there, sell them weapons, so we get a profit. Let us use over there, put a military installation on their territories. But once the Russians are going to start bombarding them, we're going to get up out if they're going to throw something, if you know what I mean. I'm not talking conventional. I'm talking about something bigger than that. So let's see what these guys are saying. A year after migrants started crossing into European Union from Belarus to Poland, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki is expected to visit the border area on Thursday to mark the completion of a new steel wall. I don't see any word starting with R and ending with a T, like a racist wall. No? Okay. On Friday, Polish authorities will also lift a state of emergency along the border that has blocked journalists, rights workers, and others from witnessing a human rights crisis. Imagine Trump would have done that. I said, no, nobody comes near the border, our wall, until we complete it, everybody out. All right. At the very last, 20 migrants have died in the area's freezing forest and bogs. Whose fault is it? Not the Poles, not the Belarusians, because they didn't drag them from wherever they come. They they engage in a risky thing, and there's nobody else's duty to save your butt. All right? I know a friend. He used to be a friend. He's not a friend anymore. Who got from real story? Got from Germany or France was it? Le Havre, I think it was France. Le Havre, I think it was in France. From France, he got in a container got in, locked himself in a container, and for 2 weeks almost, he crossed the Atlantic. He got to New Jersey, in Newark, I think, in New Jersey. He cut the thing out. He got out after 2 weeks almost of shitting, eating, sleeping in that container. And he's in the United States right now. But nevertheless, the guy risked his life to enter the United States illegally. Now he's illegal. Everything is legal. He's legal. He got his citizenship, I guess. He was permanent resident. He got his citizenship for sure, and so on. But that was a life-threatening risk. If he would have died, do you think his mom would have sued who? The container companies, the French state, the American customs? Who do you think they would? Nobody and nothing, because they would say, nobody invited you here. You came here on your own risk. The same with these guys. What are you telling me that? Are you supposed to embrace them? No. Why? There are laws. There are laws. You break the law, what do you expect? If you break the law, you're a criminal. What euphemism you want me to say? Lawbreaker? I mean, what? If I use a euphemism, it will not change the conviction anyway. So the result, it would should be penalized and go to jail or kicked out, right? So it says here that 20 migrants have died. Okay, too bad. What can I say? A lot of people starve in this world, and that's not their fault, right? Is their parents? I don't think so. So whose fault is it? As Poland opened its gates to millions of Ukrainians fleeing Russian invasions, work was well underway to build the 5.5 meter, 18 feet or foot high wall along 186 kilometers, 115 miles of its northern frontier with Belarus. Why do you think they accepted the Ukrainians? Because of the boss ordered them, and they had to show that. Do you think they're going to be okay? They had problems with the human rights with the migrants just before the war started. The Brussels grabbed them by the collar and say, hey, no funds for you because you don't respect the migrants' human rights and show signs of xenophobia and all that. And now it's all forgotten for now. All right. So they give us here a few names. Ali, who some poor guy tried to come and he went through this. He's alive, obviously. And now he says that human rights activists see a double standard in the different treatment of the neighboring Ukrainian refugees, fellow Slavs, who are mostly Christian, female, and white. They make it. You see where they're going? See where they're going with this? All right. Fellow Slavs, now they're fellow Slavs, mostly Christian and female and white, and those from the distant Middle East and Africa, many of whom are Muslims and male. So, yeah, it's double standard. On the other hand, this is another thing. I, as a country, I determine who I accept and what are the criteria of accepting immigrants in my country. Only I and my people have that right. Not you, not another country, as I don't have any right to tell you who should you accept. As refugees, as immigrant, or whatever. And besides, you know what the refugee, when you hear refugees, this is a refugee. A refugee is called refugee only a person who comes from the country of conflict to the first country. So if, let's say, these Arabs come from the Middle East and they try to, let's say, Syria, and they try to cross the border from Belarus into Poland, they're not refugees anymore. They were refugees only when they got outside of Syria, let's say, to Turkey. Then they were refugees. The first country they touched down after they left the country of conflict, only then you are considered a refugee. You're not a refugee anymore. Read the definitions. The words have meanings. Just go and read it. That's called a refugee. The one that comes from, if I am a Romanian and I run from Romania, I break out, whatever, because Romania continues to be a shitty country. Oh, sorry. And I go to Hungary. I claim asylum over there and I'm a refugee because something happens in that country. But if I continue going to, let's say, Slovakia, Czech Republic, or let's say from Hungary I go to Austria, and I end up in Germany, I'm not a Romanian refugee anymore. Hungary. In Hungary, I was considered a refugee. Not in Germany. Over there, I'm a lawbreaker, illegally entering the country. I was a refugee, first country. The same, when you see these guys getting, just take the a map and look and see where the Middle East and Africa is. Those are not refugees. Ukrainians are refugees because they come from Ukraine straight to the first country, which is Poland. Those guys are not refugees. So, terms have meanings. Get a dictionary. Not you, these mofos. So nevertheless, now they try to push against Poles. It seems like that they don't accept whomever they want them to accept. And then you have NGOs sponsored by whom? Our friend Soros, right? And it says Syria, Mediterranean. They came through Mediterranean Sea. They came through Albania. It's just yeah. And then they try to make it about whites helping whites. After all, if you just put them Slavs and Slavs, they are relative tribes, right? So then I should help a relative more than something that's not a relative. That makes sense, right? I should help my cousin more than I should help my neighbor, right? Or I should help my cousin, or let's say my second cousin, before I help someone from a different country I never met. No? Isn't that logical? If you say no, you can do that. I choose to do this one because this is closer to me. However you want to take it. Because if you extrapolate it, then I should not help my wife and my children more than I help the neighbor's children and wife. I can help the wife somehow, but you know what I mean? It's just this is the situation. I mean, just push it. It's you get involved according to how much love you have. You can't love everybody the same unless you are Jesus Christ, and you are not. And I don't intend on being Jesus Christ. Not even trying. I try to be Emil and I have my own values. And my values say that I help more the people I love more. I don't help the guy who wants to cut my throat in the same way I help the person who loves me. You want to do that? Please do. You have your right to do that. Do not impose that on me. Be tolerant. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. See ya.